Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television GPTV. I'm Brad. In my hands is The Walking Dead Deluxe number 58. Now, The Walking Dead Deluxe is kind of a reprint of The Walking Dead, this time in color. It's written by Robert Kirkman, art by Charlie Adlard, coloring by Dave McCaig, lettering by Rus Wooton. As I said, a little bit different than its color. There's also some extras in that Robert Kirkman puts his notes for the issues and kind of discusses the notes there, which is kind of cool. But this has been really fun going back issue by issue, re-experiencing The Walking Dead. Again, this time in color. It comes out every other week, so you don't really have to wait that long to dive into the next issue. So this one, the previous issue ended with Rick going completely insane and just butchering a bunch of people in front of his son and Abraham. This one's the fallout of that. I'm not going to go into the stuff with the people left in the camp. That's not the biggest of deals, though there's, kind of kicking stuff up there a little bit. But this is really about Rick, Abraham, and Carl. And then eventually Morgan, who is on the cover, so not really a spoiler. So it's interesting is that, the world has shifted a lot since The Walking Dead came out, since this issue came out. Obviously we had the pandemic, so this series kicking off with the pandemic I think has really been interesting. I think there is a lot of intriguing discussions to be had about the society and the comics and how they adapted to a post-pandemic life and how we have and have not adapted to a post-pandemic life. The thing that I think actually really is interesting in this particular issue, kind of the previous one as well, is this dynamic between Rick and Abraham. They have done horrible things. In this one, Abraham goes and talks about the horrific acts that he committed. Rick talks about the horrible things he committed and did, and then Carl pipes in as well. You have three guys all struggling internally with what they had to do. I'm not judging what they had to do. I actually think this is a completely different world, completely different rule set, and you do what you need to do to survive in this case. This is the extreme of extremes. Society does not exist. Rules and society are you, yourself, and your small unit that's close to you. The ideas of government, laws, all that is out the window at this point. Having to start things from scratch. So I'm not judging Rick or Abraham. Whatever you got to do to survive, you do what you have to do to survive. I mean, the question is just what will you do? How far will you go? What lines will you cross? But to here, I think the really interesting aspect is Abraham and Rick talking about this. These are men who are clearly brought up in the old school, do not talk about your emotions, hold it inside, deal with it, society that was. They are suffering from toxic masculinity. And I know people are going to sit there and roll their eyes at me using that term. That is a perfect example of the term. It is a point where men are expected to not deal with, not examine, not let out their emotions. This issue is all about them letting their emotions out and being vulnerable and broken with each other. They are breaking that toxic mentality. And I think that's really interesting. That was something, sort of, maybe, kind of discussed a little bit here and there in society, but not quite to where we're at now with things. But I think it's really interesting. Whether or not Kirkman did this on purpose, he doesn't really say in the back. It is, it's definitely, I think, a theme and something underneath the storyline, and definitely a driver of these two's interactions. Then you throw Morgan into it, and you've got, you've got this weird balance of being the protector father, reality, dealing with your emotions, like everything coming together. Morgan feels like everything kind of bundled up into one thing. Where he leaves his son at the end, I think, is really, really fascinating. And just overall, this is a very interesting comic to go read. I honestly kind of forgot about this one. And using today's more discussions to kind of examine it, I'm sure I would take a very different approach and probably would have just taken the moralistic, should they or shouldn't they? And when this came out, that was much more of the discussion. Should they, shouldn't they? How far should you go to protect yourselves? Very much a discussion during the holy crap, I'm going to die from imaginary terrorists age. Not quite the discussion that goes on now. Now it's the holy crap, I'm going to die from the imaginary or hidden disease that may or may not come type of thing, depending on who you are and what you believe. So yeah, they're really not imaginary, but the threat of is really the better term. But I think it's really kind of interesting in that, it was written God knows how many years ago. I mean, it's probably a decade ago at least, right? And then, you know, comparing it to what it is today, you have very, you know, the same story, very different themes based off of what's going on in society. And I think it's a really intriguing, really interesting thing, and a kind of a fun reason to go back and reread The Walking Dead. We are still in an age of fear. The fear has shifted. So the question is how does the comic reflect upon that? Our discussions are very different. Me Too wasn't a thing back then. Toxic masculinity was a thing, but not quite as much of a thing. You know, obviously COVID and God knows what the hell is going to come next was not a thing. However, terrorism was absolutely a thing. Shitty economy was a thing. Just different time periods. Shitty economy is a thing now too, but for different reasons. So, or maybe same reasons, same causes, different specifics. So I mean, I think it's kind of fascinating to go and reread this series because of that. It's definitely a different experience, a different read, and different take. I don't think I would have picked up on the toxic masculinity aspect of it quite as much. It's there, but I don't think it was quite as present or quite as, you know, something on our minds. So anyway, long story short, awesome issue. You can go get this. It is out in comic shops. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code to tell the comic shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we're going to get a small percentage by doing that. You support our site, so thank you. And just watching our video support us, so thank you for that. If you're into comics, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics, and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.